The time has come for episode 17 of Let's Play Planet Coaster here on Theme Park Worldwide. Straight back into it in this episode. I'm so glad that all of you enjoyed the last episode, number 16, where we actually opened the park for the very first time. It was great to see that it went so well, to be honest. I was really surprised at how the opening went for this park. And as promised, just a few days after we opened the park, I'm straight back into it, and I've kicked everybody out of the park. We're back into closed season mode, so to speak, and I'm building my next ride. Now, I did say that I was going to start a fantasy-themed area, and that's exactly what I have started to do for the episode 17. So, the first phase of this, so to speak, it is going to be split into numerous areas. The first phase is going to be a medieval-style section of this fantasy area that is going to be home to a family coaster, a junior/family coaster. I say junior/family coaster, I mean, it's not going to be a tiny junior coaster, so to speak, like the Octonauts maybe at Alton Towers or Troublesome Trucks at Drayton Manor. It's going to be bigger than that. We're talking similar sort of size to maybe the Rhino coaster at West Midlands Safari Park. So that's the sort of size that I'm going for. And here it is. It's going in now. It's all time-lapse footage to speed it up a little bit. As you can see, this episode is just over 30 minutes long. And in this 30-minute episode, I complete this entire coaster, including theming as well. Of course, there's always a few little touches and things to add later on. But the general ride and the theming is complete by the end of this episode. So yes, if you missed it in the last episode, the moment came where we opened this park for the first time, and I was so pleased with how it went. It did go down very, very well. Of course, when we opened this park, I was a bit sort of concerned how it was going to run in terms of the general flow of guests around there, how the queue lines would be, all that kind of stuff. But overall, it actually went really, really well, that I was surprised about. Thanks to each and every one of you for commenting on the last episode. I know so many of you are just glad to have these episodes back, because it was about 2.5 week gap between the last episode and the one before. And of course, I've said it throughout the past few episodes, but I really do try my hardest to get these videos online as soon as I can do. Building a park with this much detail really does take a lot of time and effort, but I love doing it, and I don't want to lose the quality of what I've been doing with this park since November last year. So here we go. You can see that my junior coaster's coming towards the end there. It's not a massive sort of layout, but it isn't too short either. I'd say that's just quite a nice ride time actually with this one. I mean, I want it to be a similar thing really to the Dragon at Legoland Windsor, and in fact, talking about the scenery for this as well, which you're going to see me start in a few minutes time, the actual scenery of this is going to be medieval, and it's going to be castle style. I mean, there isn't going to be any dark ride section in there. Here we go, you can see it testing now. In a moment I do actually decide that the trains are way too long, and I actually put 2 trains on it and make them a little bit shorter. Of course, you don't really get the speed of it here because it's been sped up, but you'll see it in a second because I do show you a POV, one before the theming and one after all the theming's been done, and I must say the theming is very, very impressive on this one, even if I do say so myself, by the time it's finished, and you'll see that in the next sort of 7 or 8 minutes as the castle really starts to get built. But yeah, as I was saying, it's going to be very similar to Legoland, except there is going to be a lot of theming around the actual ride itself. I hate how coasters have a lot of theming in the stations and then you have nothing around the rest of the ride, and that's something with this Planet Coaster Park I wanted to make sure that I abolish. I want to make sure that we've got theming all the way around this ride, and here you can see there's plenty of areas. I mean, you've got a few helixes and stuff on here, and you can see me just doing the smoothing tool there as well to smooth this out a bit. I don't make the smoothest coasters, but I do sort of practice with it, and like I say, you know, I'm not an expert. These aren't tutorial videos. It's a let's play. It's me building these parks, and like I say, I put all of my effort into the theme in itself. In terms of the layout of a coaster, it doesn't take me too long to do it really. I mean, this one in real time took me about 30 minutes, just under, to do the actual coaster. But anyway, let's have a little ride on it then. Let's have a POV. There we go. What are we in? Row 2 there, just behind some test dummies at the front. So you can see we've got the curved lift hill up and round to the right. This will provide really nice views of the rest of the fantasy themed area when this is complete. Kicker wheel lift hill on this one, similar to a lot of junior coasters out there. Also 13 actually, Alton Towers, an Intamin freefall coaster that uses kicker wheels on its lift hill. That's to help reduce noise. Here we go, down that first drop. Not too steep, like I say, we want this to be rideable for everyone, especially with us only having big coasters in this park so far. It's only the 3rd coaster I've built in this park. Quite surprising actually, you don't realise I've put that much other things in there. Dark ride, a couple of water rides. Well, that's a good speed round there, that looks really good. You got to imagine this when all the theming's in. Little pop of airtime, nothing too much. And again, before we go into a helix to the left. Yeah, that's really good speed. Gonna have a bit of water, I think, underneath this one as well. So a couple of sort of lakes underneath. Nothing too big, but yeah, that was nice. And then we come round into the block break. And after that, a slow descent back down into the station. A very long station because, like I say, we've got 2 trains in action. And you can see the one just at the top that was just there. So in terms of the theming, we've had a bit of a repaint of the track at this point. That does get changed actually at a later stage. And then now it's all about experimenting with this castle. What I'm putting in here, I wanted to make sure that it was the sort of biggest turret there is there next to the lift hill. And you can see me, it takes me a few attempts to actually get this right. I put that in and then delete bits and then inside right, that's it. And he also changed the height of it because I do think it's a little bit too tall a little bit later on, and you see me take some of them top sections out. But here we go, yes, the theming is all starting to go into place now. And like I say, we did do sort of a castle ruin inside the pirates area. This is a medieval castle we're going for now. This isn't a pirate castle. This is medieval, and like I say, it's all part of this fantasy area. So what I'm thinking for themes inside here, we've got a bit of medieval. I'm thinking a bit of sort of fantasy, like gingerbread houses, that kind of stuff. A bit of a circus style area, I'm thinking as well. So maybe we have sort of red and yellow sort of drapes over a ride, and maybe like a Dumbo's sort of flat ride in there at some point, something along those lines. Maybe we'll have to go for teacups or something instead. I don't know, what we can get from inside the game. But here we go, the theme is really starting to take shape now. I'll be quiet for a few minutes, let you enjoy me start to put the castle together, and then I'll explain a little bit more when I feel is necessary. Enjoy. So over the past few minutes you've just seen me putting in all the turrets all the way around the ride, but now I want this to be a realistic castle, so of course I'm going to connect these all up to make it look more like a castle building itself and not just loads of random turrets put in for no reason. Of course they are there for a reason, because they're there as near misses. Of course this adds to the excitement when you're on a ride, and I know it myself, I love the near misses on the Swarm, for example, at Thorpe Park. When you're flying all the way around, you've got some fantastic near misses on that. Of course the billboard's fantastic, the plane wing. You've got some great ones, and one of my favourites actually is the building just above the station, the church itself, and especially if you're sitting on the left hand side, you get a really good head chopper moment, a really good near miss when you come around that corner. So there's going to be plenty of those on this, and I know it's only a junior coaster, but I do want to make sure that you've still got some good near misses, and that's a really good one there. You can see how it interacts quite heavily. I do love my buildings, I love doing scenery so much, and if you are new to the series or maybe new to Theme Park Worldwide, welcome to Planet Coaster. I know we're 17 episodes in, but why not go back and watch some of our older ones where we do a Wild West themed area as the first one that I do. Inside there we have a steel hybrid coaster that goes in. Then I also put in a log flume in there as well, along with some few flat rides. I then go and build a wing coaster that we called Tempest. I then go and do Blackbeard's River Rapids. Along with that, a few more flat rides in there as well before going down to the entrance area of the park and doing all the gardens around there. It looks fantastic. And I put in a chair swings and a carousel down there along with all the supporting buildings. Here we go, you can really start to see this coming together now as I put the lakes underneath here as well. And that leads me on to talk about a park with quite a lot of lakes actually. Let's talk a little bit about Thorpe Park. The biggest news of this week, of course if you're watching this way in the future, maybe you're watching this in 2019 or something, I do apologise. But yes, let's talk about it at the moment. They have just announced Thorpe Park, as in today when I was filming this, that the slammer is officially gone from the park. It's going to be removed, it isn't going to open again. And of course there was only 2 S&S Sky Swats ever built. And it was quite sort of unique to have one here in the UK. I mean, we don't often get unique flat rides, but yeah, we had the slammer and I absolutely loved it. It opened back in 2005. I went opening year to go on it. It was the year before Stealth. I'll always remember all these big rides going in. We had Rush the same year as well. But yeah, I went to Thorpe Park, rode it, and I just fell in love with it. I thought it was so unique, and it remained unique even more so after a few years ago when it became the only one left in the world, S&S Sky Swat. I mean, I just really enjoyed it. And what are your thoughts on it? Comment below. What do you think of Thorpe Park's decision? I mean, we knew that obviously S&S, who manufactured the ride, stopped doing sort of parts and they didn't sell that anymore, you know, so a few years back. So obviously we knew it was going to come at some point, but it's just a shame that there was no way they could have kept it going and maybe, I don't know, paid more. Surely if they'd paid S&S more, they could have kept more parts coming for it. I don't know. Yes, it was knackered because it did used to make some noise and you could see where all the welding was, which is a shame they couldn't have kept that ride with it being so unique and the only one left in the world. Back to the park then now, and you can see that I'm starting to add even more detail onto the buildings. I start putting the turrets on there and the sides to the castle. I'm not too sure what they're called, to be honest. What do you call like the little up and down jagged bits on the side of a castle? I'm really not too sure, but they definitely make it a castle, so we've got to have some of those on there. There you go, you see a turret going on the top there right on the main one itself. You can see how I just lowered that down a little bit as well. That one's a little bit different, that more goes in and there's a gap in the middle. I just wanted to make sure all these are a different sort of size and shape, just so they look even more natural. It's getting there though now, but it is all about layers and it's all about adding in the rock work. Everybody loves the rock work and they know that it always comes in the areas here at the park, about adding shrubbery, bushes, trees all the way around there. So you'll see me start to do that in a few minutes time as well and adding that extra texture in. So first, well, you probably noticed my little technique for doing the buildings by now. I mean, we are 17 episodes in, but I always do the buildings first, then I go afterwards and put all the details on there, such as windows and all that kind of stuff, lighting, whatever I want to put on there. So I always do all my buildings in that area first and then go back and do that. It's just something that I find it so much easier to do. It goes way back to when I used to play Roller Coaster Tycoon, the original, and RCT2, and a little bit of RCT3. As I've mentioned numerous times, I wasn't really a big fan of RCT3, to be honest. But yeah, it's just something I've been doing since then. I've just always built the buildings in that theme and then done the windows afterwards. Without one had the details on. Of course, with Roller Coaster Tycoon, it was always something what, you couldn't sort of have the windows afterwards, so to speak, but you could do the outside of your building and then put another layer on the outside, and that's what I used to do. God, it's weird thinking back to, Roller Coaster Tycoon and not being able to add windows on and just add certain things on top. It is crazy, it really is. I mean, this game is so advanced, and it's so good to see so many of you are also inspired by this park. There's a lot of people that comment below on the video and say, oh, Shawn, you've inspired me to build this, you've inspired me to do this in my park. And that's great to see, and I'd love to see some of your creations. And if you do watch our weekly series, it is every Wednesday here on Theme Park Worldwide, and it is called Theme Park Worldwide the show. Send them in for TPW Showcase, which is our section at the end. Send in your screenshots of your Planet Coaster Park, not just ones that have been inspired by me, but just in general. I'd love to see what you guys are doing, and maybe it'd help me learn some more tips as well. In terms of everybody commenting, thank you so much for everybody who's helping me with this park as well, sharing tips and different things what I can do to make my life easier. All that kind of feedback is welcome. Like I say, it's not a tutorial video. I'm here just to play Planet Coaster, talk about theme parks, and just generally have some fun. But here we go. Like I say, you're going to start to see more layers going in soon, and of course that beloved rock work. You see me just start to put the entrance building in just here for this ride as well. So be quiet for a few minutes and let you enjoy a little bit more audio. So the time has come to start thinking about them extra layers and what to add in terms of finer details in the area. So I've opened up my scenery items just there, filtered down and searched for fancy theming. And you can see here I've managed to get these medieval style tents. I always associate them with jousting and all that kind of stuff. So I thought, yeah, let's get a few of those in there around the queue line. We've got some stocks going in there as well. Quite similar to my London Dungeon stocks actually I've got at the World of Theme Parks. You've also got some fire effects and stuff what I think about putting in the queue line here. And that's how we end up lighting this entire queue line with fire torches. Me just having a little look through there what we've got in terms of fancy theming. It's great how there's a search box though. You can just see it there if you look towards the right hand side of the screen. You can just type the search and you can also filter it down with what you've got there as well. So it always helps when you're putting in your scenery items. It's literally just me experimenting. In terms of items, I think a lot of people struggle and think, hang on a minute, what should I put in where? And to be honest, just go with the flow. Have a little look what you've got and then really think about placing some items in. It's the same when it comes to the trees as well and the shrubbery. So this is a big project here. You see this takes a few minutes and I really cover this whole area now in trees all the way around. As you can see there's a lot of trees inside this park. The areas are really well sectioned off and I want to make sure this fancy area is no different. I want to make sure that this is completely sectioned off from everything else and you can see me keep zooming out. That's a little bit of advice for you as well. You don't just want your part to look good close up. You want to zoom out and really get a feel for the layout. And you can see I extended the train line out a bit here as well because I knew that was going to be the boundary of this medieval section. However, the fancy area is going to continue behind it and of course we're going to have the third and final train station for the railway at the park and that is going to go at the back of the fantasy themed area as well. So there we go. In terms of other rides that I'm thinking of this area, like I say, a spinning flat ride just in front of the station for this coaster is what I'm thinking, themed to medieval also, and then I'm going to go more into my next theme but are still part of this fancy area, which is just going to go towards the right of the screen where we are now. And what I'm thinking there is a teacups I've decided on for the middle, and I'm going to build that, put these couple of flats in between this episode and the next one, and then it means when we get to the next episode I can start building my next major ride inside this fancy area, which I'm thinking I'm going to go with something like a vintage cars, some sort of tracked family ride, which is going to be indoors slash outdoors. There's going to be some indoor sections and some outdoor sections, so technically it'd be a second semi-dark ride that are building here. Of course the other one in the Pirates area was a full dark ride. We're going to go with a semi-dark ride with this one. But yeah, tune into the next episode, which will be online soon, where you see me start to build that. It's going to be very exciting. You can see there's literally lots and lots of trees going in here. That's why I sped it up really, but I don't want to cut too much out because at the end of the day it is only a half-hour episode and I wanted to make sure that I do show you everything with this area. A lot of people really like just seeing me add the little things in, and like I say, my advice to you, I said it just a couple of minutes ago, really don't think too much about where you're placing little items, but you really want to think about the bigger picture. So keep zooming out and thinking, hang on a minute, does this lake really look very good there? Does it fit in with the area, all that kind of stuff just there. In a second we come towards the end of the bigger trees and you'll see me start to add the finer details, some more little shrubs and things all the way around this area as well. Still looks a bit plain in some areas, so I wanted to make sure that I did this. And you also see me put a little bit of rock work in a few minutes as well. Not loads of rock work with this area, like I say, but using a slightly different shade to what I've done before. I used the light brown rock work over in the Wild West area, and then up in the Pirates themed area I used the grey rocks. Here we go from all the dark green slash grey rocks for this one, just to make sure that we're making sure these areas look different. I didn't want it to look similar to the Pirates area in any way. I don't think it does do, to be honest. I think it does look a bit more of a fantasy style medieval area. Can't get my words out tonight. It's quite late when I'm finishing this one. I do tend to play it on a night, to be honest, Planet Coaster. It's one of those things that the past few weeks I've done that much. It's been nice to just have a bit of a chill the past couple of nights and play lots and lots of Planet Coaster. Anyway, just a few minutes left of the video. I'll let you have a little bit more music before we have another POV, another ride on this coaster, and its finished state. Like rock work. There we go. That was done specially for all the fans of my rock work here on Planet Coaster. I know there's quite a lot of people that like it. So there you go. You see me just there adding a few fire torches in around the queue line. And now it's time for a ride on the finished product. Now there's always little things to add in, little touches that I want to do. It's the same with all the other rides I've built so far in this park. But to end this episode, let's have a ride on this and see how it compared to earlier on. I mean, this took me in real time about 3 hours, 3.5 hours tops to do this whole project. So not too bad actually with this one. Like I said, it is only a small ride. It's not got a massive footprint. But look at this already. You've got the castle all the way around there. You can see the volcano here at the springs as well from there. All the station buildings we go round and over the top. And already you start to notice how just adding in all that scenery and theming has just added so much to this ride experience already. Dipping down there through the trees. There you go. You got the water just underneath you on that section. Round we go. And I didn't plan any of this. You know, I put some helix in and thought, yeah, you know, I'll put some buildings in. But I didn't think about dimensions and the size of them and exactly what they were going to be. I just go with the flow, and that's what I think you guys need to do with this game as well. Go with the flow, enjoy it, because it is absolutely awesome. I'm really pleased with that. It's a really good family coaster. Thank you very much for watching. I want names as well, so make sure you comment below on this video and I'll pick out the best name for the next episode of Let's Play Planet Coaster. Look at that. What a brilliant area. Thank you to each and every one of you for watching. I'll see you in the next episode here on Theme Park Worldwide. What's that mean it's time to do? It's time to cue those credits. See you later.